In today's video, we're exploring the futures of Kane, Brock Boeser, and Erik Karlsson. Could the three of them be some of the bigger names moved later in the season at the NHL trade deadline? Plus, we have activity on the NHL waiver wire. Jordan Binnington once again looking for trouble in tonight's game. Mitch Marner breaks a long-time Maple Leaf record. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As you can see, once again, we're still on the road here in Orlando, Florida, Walt Disney World Resort, taking in family vacation, still taking time to talk about the NHL news, of course. So on to today's topics. First up on the NHL waiver wire, we had 6'5" right shot defenseman Philippe Myers from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yesterday, he indeed cleared. I was a little bit surprised. I thought somebody might take a chance on him given the number of teams on the blue line market and the fact that he wouldn't cost any assets going out the door. Contract's not terrible. Even a buyout scenario isn't terrible if it doesn't work out beyond this season, but he cleared. So the Tampa Bay can assign him, and they already have, down to their American Hockey League affiliate. Now, they've also move forward Rudy Boeser from injured reserve to long-term injured reserve. And all these moves were kind of done concurrently here to find the necessary space to activate Anthony Cirelli. Of course, Cirelli's been out of the lineup to start the year due to his shoulder surgery he had in the offseason, still recovering. He's finally ready to make the comeback, and they had to find the space to do it. So this is what they're doing here. So obviously it's tight. I believe they had another player that they had called up, they had to send back as well. It's really, really tight for the Lightning to get Cirelli into tonight's game against the Maple Leafs, but obviously they were able to make it happen. So unfortunately for Myers, he goes to the American Hockey League to help facilitate that. Now on to a few other injury notes from around the league. The Senators are going to be without at least one defenseman. They had two get pucks to the face last night in their game against the New York Rangers. It was kind of an odd sequence. Both the Rangers' goals were direct results of those defensemen getting pucks to the face, which happened right after then the Rangers scored. So it's kind of an odd scenario. Artem Zub had the worst of it, though. He's missing tonight's game against the Sharks. They'll have a better idea in the next couple of days if he'll be able to return soon or how long he'll be out. Hamonic, of course, was the other defenseman, but he was able to join and play in tonight's game, although it seems to be playing a little bit more of a limited role, so I'm sure he's got some soreness from that, but is able to continue on. The Colorado Avalanche recalled defenseman Andreas Englund because the defenseman Josh Manson's heading for injured reserve, so he's going to be out of action for a period of time. The Avalanche also have a lot of forwards out. They're dealing with a ton of adversity here early on in this NHL season. The Vancouver Canucks have also activated Jack Studnicka. He returns as well. Obviously, in the case of Studnicka, he had a decent start to the Canucks and ended up getting hurt shortly after the trade from Boston. So we'll see if he can take advantage here and stick in the lineup now that he's back to being healthy. Of course, we saw Mitch Marner break the team record tonight with his point streak, now reaching 19 games, scoring an early shorthanded goal against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, of course, Marner tied the record the other night at 18 with a couple of longtime Maple Leaf legends and now has the record all on his own. So that's quite an accomplishment for Marner. 19 straight games. It's an incredible point streak. The Leafs had an incredible really month of November, and overall things are going good. So certainly congratulations to Marner. See how long he can carry on this point streak. And Jordan Binnington, I swear this guy's asking for trouble. It's been a while now. He's got a obviously reputation around the league of kind of looking for a fight. He's a goalie. He's not very big. He's a pretty skinny guy. Doesn't have a ton of muscle on him, but he certainly acts like a tough guy a lot and drives a lot of people crazy. Of course, we saw just a few nights ago, he came out of the net and basically body checked Jordan Staal. Staal ended up plowing him right over. Staal's a pretty big guy. And then tonight, they're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he came out of his net again to play the puck and put his blocker hand up and ended up getting Jason Zucker right in the face. And then, of course, ended up later getting pulled after allowing 4 goals against. And again, once again, he pulled off the typical Binnington, going off the ice. It was mouthing at the Penguins bench. I believe he was given a misconduct for his efforts as well. I just wonder when somebody's going to shut this guy up and actually, appease him and give him a fight, because that's certainly what he's looking for. And he's certainly one of these goalies who's not even entertaining. It's not even funny, in my opinion. At least back in the older days when he's seen guys like Ron Hextall, for example, was pretty feisty in the crease, or Billy Smith, those guys. But you didn't mess with them. But Binnington's a completely different guy. Nobody really seems to take his toughness too seriously, but he's going to end up hurting somebody here worse than he needs to one of these days. Like, for example, look at, I know it's a different scenario, but looking at like Aaron Dell last year in Buffalo come out and accidentally on purpose took out Drake Batherson. Batherson missed like almost 2 or 3 months of the season. Like, absolutely ridiculous antics that this guy's been pulling, and I'm just wondering if it's just a matter of time here before even though he's a goalie, somebody's not gonna appreciate his efforts and is going to answer the bell here for him, whether he likes it or not, I think. Now, on to some trade talk of the evening here. I want to talk again about Erik Karlsson. Of course, he's with the San Jose Sharks. They're in Ottawa playing the Senators tonight as I record this video. A couple of interviews done by Erik Karlsson. One was during the first period of the first intermission with Hockey Night in Canada. Talked to Elliot Friedman and the panel, including Ron McLean and a few others there. And Friedman asked him point blank about all the noise about a potential trade. And of course, he made a joke with Elliot saying that it's all his fault, that since he's an NHL insider and talks to a lot of people, that he's been the one kind of getting the ball rolling. And maybe to some degree that does have some truth, but at the same time, there is belief out there that Karlsson would welcome a deal. We heard public comments from GM Mike Greer of the Sharks saying that he absolutely would entertain a Karlsson trade. So when you have the player who's, obviously talks to a lot of people, has people close to him, and, nothing's been really overly public in Karlsson's side of things. But tonight he said that at the end of the day, when responding to this question about the trade noise, he said he wants to win. Clearly, San Jose is heading down deeper into a rebuild. I think they were attempting to kind of retool here a little bit, make some changes, and obviously the season has not gone well. I think they're starting to know and see that they need to go deeper into a full-fledged rebuild, and there's not too many pieces on that roster. That's what they would call untouchable, which is why Karlsson's name has come up. Of course, he has all the control of the no-move clause. He has a big ticket on his contract, so it's hard to move, and it's complicated by, every stretch of the imagination here. So can a deal get done? Sure it can. Every player can find a way to get it done, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some time. Of course, so, he wants to win. That's essentially what he said. Of course, he closed out the interview saying, hopefully he can be here, but I think he knows that that's unrealistic in the short term. He also acknowledged the fact that, when you're younger, you obviously want to win, but you think you have lots of time to do it. And now that he's getting older in his career, you start to realize that time goes by really fast and that it escapes you quicker than you would think. And before he reaches the point that it is too late, he wants that opportunity. Now, there's some that believe he would like a chance to go back to Ottawa and see, obviously with what they're building now. Are they ready to win right now? I think they've proven this season they're not quite there yet, but I think they've proven as of late, what we saw from early flashes in the season, that they are ready to take a step forward at the very least. Will they be a playoff team this year? The odds are against them, again, because of a slow start. But there's lots of things to be optimistic about for sure. Now, would Erik Karlsson go to Ottawa? It's entertaining to think, especially if you've been a long-time Senators fans and you were a fan back of the team when Karlsson was in his heyday there from nostalgia purposes. But it would be really, really complicated, of course, because of the fact that he makes so much money now. Could San Jose retain half of that salary? Sure. And that's possible, and that would make things more feasible. But at the same time, it's so likely going to cost them something out of their forward group to add that on the back end. It's just that simple. Or maybe they can't bring back Artem Zub or something like that. It complicates things from the salary cap perspective. So it's hard to say. However, I know in a separate interview, Karlsson did talk about the fact that he, in his Ottawa home, which he still has and still resides at during the summertime, he and Alfredson watched the Sens last night against the New York Rangers, and he had all kinds of great things to say about Brady Tkachuk, about his leadership and how he's played on the ice and how he's evolved. And he said he never got to play with Brady, but the year that he was coming out of Ottawa and going to San Jose, and the year Brady was coming in right after, that he did have a chance to talk to him a little bit off the ice during their time in the summertime in Ottawa, and certainly get to know him a little bit, but obviously, had a lot of great things to say. So it's probably going to fuel up some people thinking he really wants to go back there. I don't know that we'd go that far, but the fact that we have a change in ownership coming, and we know that Alfredson's getting more involved, I think that Erik Karlsson would be very much interested. Like I said, his wife's from Ottawa. I think in a lot of ways it's still home to him. So we're not going to say that there's any kind of, sure thing by any means. But I think that there's certainly lots of people, including he and the team, that are both open to it. it's just going to be really, really complicated to see where it goes. But at least we have more comments from him now to talk about a potential trade and where he may end up, and the fact that he just really wants to win more than anything else. Now, on to another player, Patrick Kane. Of course, Patrick Kane we talked about yesterday with the belief that there's the Rangers are going to be pushing hard for a Kane trade at the deadline. Mark Lansworth has a new article out in The Athletic talking a bit about Kane's future and a couple of quotes from Kane. One I found very interesting, saying essentially that he's not ready to completely make a decision on his future as of yet, which is understandable. But at the same time, he feels that time needs to come in the very near future, that he needs to talk to his agent, needs to talk to GM Kyle Davidson, include his family, and kind of decide what he thinks he wants for the future, and especially for the rest of this season, to say the least. Obviously, we're getting not too far from Christmas now, and he's going to start looking at things and saying, if he's willing to make a deal. I know a lot of these players, sometimes we don't hear a lot about things until it's closer to trade time, but at the same time, this could be something that takes a while to come together if he does indeed want to accept a deal somewhere. We've heard, lots of different teams. We've heard about the Rangers, who we talked about last night. We've heard about the Avalanche maybe being in the mix there. We've heard a bit about the Bruins. I'm not sure how serious the Bruins would be, but it's an interesting thought. That we can say for sure. And there's plenty of other teams that are going to be in the mix out there as well that would love to have a guy like Kane. But Lansworth also comments on the fact that Kane himself is not scoring at his traditional pace. He doesn't look happy, doesn't look engaged, and he feels that maybe the losses are starting to weigh on him. Of course, that's just his opinion. It's not fact, but it's just what he feels, which makes sense if you watch the team, watch him. It does kind of seem that way to some degree, that he feels that there's a better chance that Kane will indeed accept a trade somewheres, and we hopefully will get a better, more clear idea on that in the not too distant future. But I'm not sure how much of that's going to be confirmed publicly. It's probably going to be more rumors and speculation for a while before we really know fully what is going to happen. But at least we get some more comments there to kind of clarify that position as well. And Brock Boeser is a healthy scratch tonight in Vancouver's game. Bruce Boudreau referring to it as a little bit of tough love. Seeing other comments from other Vancouver reporters saying that the core group of players in the Canucks locker room is extremely cliquey, and there's some that I feel that there's one or two that would not mind a trade and would be very much welcome to a fresh start. They didn't name names, of course, so I don't know. I can't say that Boeser is one of those players. We can't even say that that's true. That's one reporter's opinion, of course, but the fact that Boeser himself has 3 goals in the season. I think last year a lot of people were willing to overlook maybe not a great season from Boeser. Was going through a lot personally off the ice. I think a lot of people in the coaching staff, his teammates, were hoping for a rebound season from Brock, given the time he's hopefully had to move on and heal from things, and not deal with his own health and the loss of his dad and all that. And it was a tough time for him for sure. But 3 goals in the season, only 1 5-on-5. There are some wondering if Brock Boeser maybe might be the player that the Canucks end up moving. We know Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin, more than anything else, want cap flexibility. We haven't seen him make a substantial move to really get that yet. They signed Miller. If Horvat has any chance of staying, they do need to move out in a significant contract, and maybe that ends up being Boeser. It's hard to say. Obviously, like I said, he's from Minnesota. There was a long time there. There was a lot of linkage of Boeser to Minnesota, and I don't know if there's anything there that could be worked out if indeed they did move him. But at the same time, the fact that we're so early in the season, but at the same time, it gets for a lot of these guys, it gets late quick when things don't go well, and when you've only got 1 5-on-5 goal, and your job is to be a sniper, and you're expected 30 plus goals, and you're not living up to it, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. You're going to be scrutinized, and your name's going to come up when there's talk of the team making changes. So we know that the Vancouver Canucks are bound to see some changes this year. A lot of people don't think that there's a good chance Boudreau is going to make it through the end of the season, and I guess we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But at the end of the day, changes are coming to Vancouver. I don't think there's any secret. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of which big name gets moved out, and seeing Boeser be a healthy scratch and seeing his limited production really makes you think that maybe it is him. Now, I know he's got a fair bit of assists. His point totals on the year are not bad, but at the same time, obviously they can't be that thrilled with his play if they're sitting him out. Now, the last time we've seen Brock Boeser deal with being a healthy scratch was in his rookie season, and he rebounded very quickly from that and went on to have a real strong play after he get back in the lineup. So hopefully the same thing will happen again, and he can help the Canucks win some games and make Boudreau's decision look like it was a wise one. But at the same time, you got to wonder at one point Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin are going to pull the trigger on something to shake things up here. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.